Oh yeah, there was this about right-wing VTubers.
Hello, Simone. I'm excited to be here with you today. Today we are going to be talking about an interesting phenomenon that came from a viral moment that Asmongold got himself into. Asmongold was, I think, reacting to a tweet, and the tweet said something like, "There is no point to male VTubers." And Asmongold...
Yes. Yeah, I have no point. There's no point to my existence. Me and Nuxtaku don't exist.
said, "This is true." And then he went further, which is to say the key benefit of VTubing for women is, he said, it's like this crazy hack that they found out where you can be a hot woman without having to be a hot woman. And then he said the thing that was controversial, but many female VTubers have reacted to this and been like, but this isn't controversial. It's...
No, I just think the VTuber model, I think it looks cool. And also, I cover less of the screen. Like, I show my expressions because as we go, you have to have a box showing, the room behind me. I don't have that. I just have the video behind me.
It's just true.
Oh,
what she said is, if you look at not hot female influencers, the vast majority of them are VTubers. So to the extent that almost all of them are VTubers, right? To be clear, I am not saying that
It does mean I don't have to shave every single day.
VTubers are predominantly unattractive. I actually do not think that this is the case. I think that they're well more attractive than the average person. Like, they're real people are more attractive.
The disclaimer saying, okay, VTubers are all ugly. It's just maybe not, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. I don't know. I haven't... Shyla Lily has this theory that all big VTubers actually look good. I don't know how true that is, but I think looking good means you're usually more confident and outspoken, and that's something that helps with VTubing and just streaming in general. So I think they do, to some extent, there is a correlation there, that if you have self-confidence issues about how you look in real life and when you interact with people in the real world, it'd be hard for you to then be super confident with your VTuber avatar to an extent. But I'm sure there might be some ugly VTubers out there
than the average person. But we lived in an era where women who were, let's say, top 25%, but not top 10% of attractiveness were frozen out.
You're saying I'm male and no one cares how you look, but apparently there's this thing called mogging these days, and there's one male influencer whose entire thing is about being above just his appearance and mogging other males, and so retarded.
Of being able to start to rise as intellectual influencers. And this doesn't just have to do with genetics. It was also really any woman who is over the age of 25.
Yeah, it's a way to show your expressions without showing your face. Exactly. And Nuxtaku's case, especially the way he's gone off the rails on some issues lately, it's a layer of protection. And you don't have to worry about someone recognizing you on the street.
Frozen out of being able to rise as an intellectual influencer because men think younger women are attractive, generally speaking. And it's worse than all of that because even if a woman is in the top 5% of attractiveness, but she is shy or she is insecure and doesn't want people criticizing her looks, because that is a normal thing for conservatives to do, to immediately go after a woman's looks if they don't like her ideas, she would not attempt to rise. And VTubers as a concept, allowing this, completely transformed that.
How would you know? Aren't most VTubers good at concealing their identity?
There's leaks all the time.
There's leaks all the time. Agreed.
Of like the person next to their VTuber persona, or just give me their name so I can do it and then give it to you.
No. We're not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going
that's called doxing, and people would like go after this video for doxing, so you can't do that, unfortunately.
Do that is because the leaks are typically unintentional, and that's mean.
Oh, okay. I just
like
yes, it's VTubers community reacts very intensely to that. Although some leaks are really out there. There are some people on videos on YouTube that just are compilation of VTuber with the face behind it that you can find if you look. But those channels are some people are really not happy with those channels.
I mean, are you saying like non-Instagram filter ugly, or do you mean like?
Well, this is where we're getting to the point. The point I wanted to talk about.
Do they look like me? because there's like Thought Hot, and then
But the point I was going to make was that this phenomenon that he is pointing out has actually completely changed the online conversation in the internet right. It has changed
Really? Okay.
the tone of it. It has changed the factions that are ideologically winning within it. And I want to go into how this happened.
It's all me. I'm the one doing everything.
Things are changing because of VTubers. And it comes fundamentally down to Asmongold's.
I'd say it's the opposite. He's saying it comes out to Asmongold. Well, not really. Nuxtaku is also a big part. I mean, he started becoming, both Asmongold and Nuxtaku started covering politics at pretty much the same time. They transitioned from, before Asmongold was just gaming news and games. Before that, it was just World of Warcraft. But then it became gaming news and games. I think one thing that really changed it is the Johnny Depp trial that he covered from beginning to end, and it really got him the idea he can cover news and be successful. And then other commentators followed his lead, streamers. A lot more streamers started to cover politics. Before it was just like Hassan. Hassan was the big political commentator. Asmongold was bigger, but he wasn't covering politics. Now, Asmongold's the biggest.
Observation. So to not extract too much, if you go back and we go to the pre-VTubing days of the online right. So we've got to first talk about a bit about the online right. We have one history on how the online right evolved from edgy atheists, which is weird, but it did. It originally started as the skeptic community, if you go back to like when I was a kid, right? And some online YouTubers, like literally you see their career evolve through each of these phases of the online right. Back then it was not right-leaning at all.
No.
These people got tired of dunking on Christians because really there weren't that much of them, and the arguments,
I'm curious to what he's considering the right, like that he's saying commentators or if you could give an example channel, that'd be interesting.
They weren't as fun. Like the gotchas weren't as fun.
Old.
Yeah, it was much more fun to dunk on feminists, right? And then dunking on feminists turned into dunking on wokeness, which then sorted its way.
I have to say that it wasn't that it was wokeness started being forced to games and people hated it. And so any streamer that's popular, whatever, they have their audience, they'll cover a new game and their audience are screaming at this wokeness, and they have to be it was a natural phenomenon. It's not like commentators decided to do this. It's reality forced this trajectory. Wokeness started being forced into games and movies. There was a visceral reaction against it, and streamers catered to their audience, so they had to go... A lot of cases, they went along with it, if they agreed.
Into the Gamergate and all of that, and then the mainstream online right now, right? And we point out that this is what makes up the new right. Ideologically, this group is obviously going to crash with the legacy right, because this is a community that has, most of our crusades, as the movement was being radicalized into a right-wing movement, were about stuff like decensoring sexy female video game characters and stuff like that, right? Like,
or not maybe just make sure the censorship didn't happen in the first place, maybe.
Arguing against bad faith, against too much violence online and stuff like that, which really is completely the opposite perspective of a lot of the legacy right, which was like, we need to ban rap music, it's too violent, and ban GTA, and so this is where part of the right's inversion
that right, I think, is from a long time ago
came from. But during this period, you did not have that many female influencers within this movement. With the
Agreed, and they still don't. But if you look at the thumbnail from this, they put a bunch of them in the thumbnail. I don't think Rev identifies as a she, so I don't think he uses a female avatar, but I'm pretty sure he's not trans, so he's not. He shouldn't be in this montage, personally, I don't think.
probably biggest female.
Well, yeah. That one, yes, right in the middle too. I didn't know she was officially right-wing.
Influencer in this movement being a socialist. And here I'm speaking, of course, of Shoe on Head.
Do they have powder in here? Oh, they should have had powder. Replace Norosama with powder. She's definitely a right-wing. She cosplays Emily from the game, and she's definitely right-wing VTuber.
Where she is often lumped in as part of this larger ideological movement by her detractors, when she is just solidly leftist, like, and really like tries to remind people, like, look, I know I said this Trump policy was reasonable. I'm still a socialist. I'm just trying to be sane here, people. Like, I don't.
And a Catholic socialist too. She made it very clear she was a practicing Catholic again recently.
Camilla?
Yeah, she did say she's a practicing Catholic.
I haven't really watched. I'm interested. What, Camilla VTuber? Have I seen her? Oh, okay. I've seen her before. I didn't realize she was political.
Catholic. So Catholic and socialist. Can you get more leftist? Sorry, I know I just angered a lot. I'm joking. For people who don't know, traditionally the Democratic Party was seen as the Catholic Party.
Come on, Kennedy, our first
Oh, she's in political? Well, he was going to... This is a political that cover politics. You know, again, anti-woke, for example.
Catholic president. Yeah.
Well, Joe Biden.
Biden, Catholic. Yeah, totally.
And not just that, but if you look at voting lines historically, they were really tied to the percent Catholic a district was. Even today, if you look at U.S. states and districts by percent Catholic. Now, this isn't to say that Catholics overwhelmingly vote Democrat anymore. I think in the last election was the first election where they voted conservative overwhelmingly.
Yeah, Neurosama definitely doesn't cover politics. Then why is she in there? Why is Powder not one of these? Powder would definitely be a better one. And I think it's... They didn't do enough research if they didn't find powder.
Or not overwhelmingly, by a small margin, but yeah. But to continue here,
yes.
Don't want to get on too much of it. But the few influencers we did have in the right who were women had the number one hallmark of beauty, which a lot of people are like, this reminds me of a time I went with Simone, and she doesn't believe me because I'm like, Simone, you're actually extremely attractive for your age. And many of the times when you think someone is more attractive than you, they are just younger. And the night where I think I really broke you on this is we were at a club and you had to have an X on your hand if you were under drinking age. And I was like, look around the club and find anyone you think is more attractive than you, and then check if they have an X on their hand. And so you'd look around, and every single time they had an X on their hand. Like, they weren't just a little bit younger than you. They were significantly younger than you.
Yeah, there was also that time we were sharing a table at a dinner, like at a restaurant, and there were 3 people sitting right next to us, and I thought that they were a group of friends, and like just 2 less.
They're silly, and it goes with the theme of this video, but I think those glasses are really, silly looking.
Attractive ones, and then one attractive woman. And it just turned out that it was parents and their teenage daughter, and I thought she was like 25, but no.
Gen Z looks old these days.
Old. Yeah, she was like 16 years old, and I thought she was like, God.
And you know, you as a girl saying this, imagine I as a guy said this about a girl. I saw a girl, didn't realize she was 16 and thought she was hot. No, it's actually, this is, guys get in trouble for like the dumbest stuff. You can't tell somebody's age easily just by looking at them.
I guess some people kind of can.
Yeah.
There's a, not to, okay, we're going to get right back on track after this. But
you can estimate, but estimates aren't perfect. And there are people that look older than they are, and there are people that look younger than they are. And it's a problem for them sometimes.
There's this reality TV show that I think Netflix recently produced where people date, but they're not allowed to say how old they are, and then they end up coupling and then they reveal their age. And there are some people who are very easy to guess, and other people where it's like, nope, he was 60. So yeah, it's really difficult.
Yep, he was 60. Wow.
Okay. Well, I think our ages are hard to guess for people. I think a lot of our
chime in the comments. What's your guess?
What's your guess? And then you can Google it. But I think
it's on our Wikipedia page. Yeah.
Probably get our ages wrong by they might get it from context. Even talking about people with the genetics to look hot, right? Like not being born in the top, and a lot of guys know how hard this is, right? Like being looked over by.
Oh yeah, let's go to Neurosama.
I think HoloLive is bigger right now. Is Neurotrauma, and Neurotrauma is an AI anime girl child who's run by a guy. One of the leading female archetype VTubers in the online right space is Rev Says Desu. which is a guy that doesn't even use a voice.
No. I've been watching Rev's videos before he started using the avatar. People watch him for his news, for his views. His avatar is practically irrelevant. I mean, Rev. How old is let's see, how was I'd probably have to go back months, and he publishes so many videos it'll probably take a long time. But yeah, and you said use this model for about a year, so no, I'm not going to do that. But I've been watching Rev Desumui's videos for probably 5 years now or something. And before, he didn't have an avatar; it was just a voice.
Changer. By the way, people have asked why he does a little vampire girl as his character. He's like, because that's something I like to look at, right?
Yeah. Like a lot of guys play female.
I actually don't really like the disconnect between the voice and the model. I'd rather that if you sound like a woman, you look like a woman, and you sound like a guy, you look like a guy. But that's just me.
Avatars in games, because
I want
to look at a dude.
Female avatars in video games. Like hugely prefer to play female avatars in video games because I don't want to look at some burly guy for 20 hours. I find that off-putting.
What just disturbs me about him so much is that his voice sounds way too much like the voice of the guy in Clownfish TV, and so I just confuse them. And
Simone has a conspiracy that Clownfish TV and Rev says Desu is the same guy.
They're definitely different. No,
they sound different.
I believed it for a while. I listened enough to be like, nah, they're slightly different, but they're too close for me. It just still throws me off. Now I can't listen to either of them. Just sad.
Yeah. Also, by the way, Clownfish TV, just to put a mark on another conservative influencer channel, is quite interesting to me in that, one, they're one of the only other good relationship couples I know that do channels together other than us. Two, they live in Pennsylvania, so I would love to collab with them at some point.
God.
Yeah,
they live
Let's go to a theme park with them.
They live near Pittsburgh, so that's like on the other side of the moon in Pennsylvania terms. But the other interesting thing is they've sort of risen more recently, and they represent, again, I think a faction of...
I have been, Clownfish TV, I've been watching them for also 6 years now, maybe? Long time. They have great videos on cultural topics, like movies coming out and gonna flop, gonna not flop, stuff like that. And there haven't been that many good movies I've been interested in, or all the woke disasters, most of them passed. So I've been watching less of their videos.
Of conservatism that just didn't exist before. They're new on the conservative side. I don't even think that they admit that they are Republicans yet.
They don't.
Recently he's like, well, I'm not going to talk about what my politics are, because I think he's still, and they talk about seeing themselves as hardcore Democrats, even if you go 10 years ago, right? So they definitely are part of this new faction. But anyway,
I'd say the common sense group, don't race swap historical figures, for example, in make Cleopatra black, for example, that type of stuff. Don't put gay romance into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, other stuff like that.
I wanted to point that out, that this hack isn't just available to women. And we don't even know how many of these VTubers are, if they haven't had an accidental face reveal, how many of them are men using voice changers. So that's also an important thing.
Well, but what about...
All right, Wyatt, some other day. Just going to continue reacting and watching videos, and do Noita later.
As Shuan had puts it, the blue Jew. Nux. He's not
they're mentioning Nux.
Hot anime girl.
Oh, he is not.
Yeah, you can talk about Nux because you just telling there's no point to male VTubers. So how are you going to spin Nux?
Hot anime girl, and I don't think he needs his avatar. But what I have heard is Nux, when he doesn't use his avatar, is not as bold or as aggressive or as jocular. His character is super in your face, and I think that
so kind of puts him in character. Yeah,
it puts you in character. That's a good way to put it. And I mean, it's. I think I'm the same. But I haven't been VTubing as long, so maybe I eventually will have a difference between reality and VTubing.
It's good. It's necessary for him as a psychological mechanism, not the audience.
Yeah. The other thing.
Click on these for after.
Today we're doing a.
This is the same one. It's the same one you put twice. Yep.
Another Badger stream, another.
To note that helped women get into VTubing is that otherwise wouldn't have had their voices is girls are shyer.
Bye, Wyatt. Thanks for stopping by.
Than guys are on average. They are more sensitive to public judgment, and people judge girls on their looks very aggressively.
Well, and it hurts them more.
And it hurts them psychologically more.
Yeah.
So even girls who otherwise would come across as perfectly fine, right? Like maybe even in the top 5-10% of women, right? That they can still be filtered out because they psychologically cannot deal with
VTubers. All that matters is your voice and your personality, your ability to manipulate your model. So you don't have to do your hair and makeup every time you stream.
Is the heat of being in front of people.
Yeah.
Leaflet probably falls into this category. She's very, like, if you see her streams, she's somebody who really lets things get to her, I think, a lot more than, like, as somebody who considers her a friend, then I would like her to, right? But I could see her being very sensitive about a bunch of people constantly judging her, right? And being able to put on a mask every time you get on screen. As Muggold said, it's like makeup, but like up to 11, right? You know, helps her interact with the community without needing to worry about judgment of anything other than her character and her ideas. And that's important to note.
I will say, I'm going to judge her anyway, because her model, she needs to be more expressive with her model. It does have a few reactions, but out of, her model needs to be more expressive. She carries everything through her personality and her voice, but her not super expressive model.
In conservative communities, a woman goes up there and she says some idea that's uncomfortable to you or some idea you don't like. This may not be for you, but for a chunk of the conservative community, the initial reaction is to criticize her looks.
Yeah,
it really is. Like we can say all we want about women bad, but this is something that just happens. They'll criticize her looks. They'll criticize who she slept with last. They'll criticize, and not that somebody shouldn't.
That second one is fairer. Who someone slept with. It does represent the type of person she likes. It can be her judgment if it's depending on who it is. Yeah, looks. Yeah. Looks, I think the only time it matters is if there's someone who is like purposefully making themselves ugly for you. Like they shave half their head, dye their hair purple, have a nose ring, tattoos, face tattoo. Yeah, someone who's made choices that to purposefully make themselves less attractive. That you can judge too.
Be accountable for their sexual history, but that doesn't necessarily inform their ideas, right? But this is something that girl influencers get, that boy influencers don't get, right? So it's another thing that was filtering them out. So what has been able to happen?
By the way, those things I was talking about, I judge a guy who does something exactly the same as I would. I'm not a fan of nose rings in men or women.
Because Anna Valens pushed a number of female VTubers into the cultural center of the conservative wing. This is actually a fascinating phenomenon with the right, where, especially the new right, like the internet right, where we sort of determine who we trust and who we consider like, okay, you can influence this community by how much progressives crash out about them. Like Scott Elliott.
Yes, that is one way. You hear that everyone's crashing out about this YouTuber. Well, they must be someone worth listening to, and then people go check them out.
Alexander, Platestar Codex, becoming like a mainstream intellectual who like right-wing people often cite these days. Really, that's weird because I don't think he considers.
Should I go out of my way and try to create some rage bait for the left to get more viewers? What do you think?
Himself right-leaning, but the New York Times crashes out about him, and people are like, okay, there might be something to this. The New York Times thinks this guy is the demon. Okay. Or the Kirsche, Leaflet, etc. situation. I think a lot of people saw the anime VTuber conservative influencer types with a lot of suspicion before the crash out happened. And after the crash out, it was like, oh.
If it works, yeah. You don't want to just get the hate and not get the bump from the views. So I think it's just keep doing your thing. I'm sure I'll say something that pisses off the left extremists at some point. Actually, I think I say stuff that would piss them off pretty regularly, but nothing has gone viral yet. think rather than try and make it happen, we just have to wait till some clip of mine goes viral, and then the people will be mad. Like saying that trans is roleplay.
Okay, they're chill. They're chill. They angered them enough. Ref said Desu is a bit the same way. I mean, a guy who does streams as a little anime girl, people, you think it'd be more, I think at the beginning people were more suspicious about that, but enough leftists have crashed out about him that mainstream within at least the online right, people are just like, oh yeah, Ref says Desu. Yeah, he's the mainstream member of the community. A lot of them dress like foxes. I've got to be like, there's like 4 fox girls.
A flaming paradox, a spectacle, like intellectual over sexual.
Yes, Smugalana,
But we want to keep it respectful.
Cinder, and a bunch of others.
I lit the flame I was given. Ring, ding, ding. What does the fox say? Yip, yap, nothing fake. Okay, simple symbiosis, yeah, you know, no way.
Which are there more, cat girl VTubers or fox VTubers, do you think? Because there's Fillion, there's Girl DM, there's a lot of cats also too.
What is his name? Skybrows. Skybrows did a new anime video called Fox U or something.
Oh,
If you add like lions, tigers, and other felines to it, I think the cats win out over the foxes personally.
gosh, I have to watch it.
It's one of my favorite songs, and it's about fox girl VTubers. I think because everybody who knows Skybrow videos mostly focus on cultural, conservative cultural influencers. And the fact that he was able to put together an entire video just on fox girl VTubers shows how big this phenomenon is of conservative, furry influencers. I know we can say that Kirsche is not a furry influencer, but I mean, she technically is. Also, intellectually, an interesting thing about this community.
No, just fox ears and tail is not enough for furry. That's a human girl. If it's just a human girl can wear accessories and easily reproduce it, then it's not furry. Furries, you need to wear a fursuit to cosplay them.
Is they rarely play into a character for their VTubing. What I mean by this is Kirsch's, like when I think Kirsch's character as a VTuber, I think Bostonian, grew up lower middle class because of her accent that she always goes into.
And I have to say, I think she's a little bit better now, but the model she was using for a very long time was very basic. If you go back even a year, it was 3D. It's compared to like how good like Girl DM's debut model was, it's a different league.
Irish is my assumption because I guess I'm racist against Bostonians. I do not think Fox Girl, like her being a Fox Girl, like never comes up in Leaflet's videos, for example.
I'm sure it comes up. Why Fox Girl? Someone has to ask that, and I'm sure there's an explanation why she chose that particularly.
Leaflet's character is a slime girl, right? Literally,
elf slime girl, half elf, half slime. Apparently, that's why she's an elf a lot of the time.
Not even in my remotely evoked
chimera of a slime girl in Hey, so
yeah,
fairy.
Yeah, which is to say that, but it doesn't come up for her. Like when I think Leaflet, I think
in her AI videos, she's never slime.
You know, somebody who's very warm and caring and very interested in what's actually true in a way that is still sort of kind, which is interesting. That's like her thing as a conservative influencer, right? But but this isn't true of like normal VTubers, by the way. A lot of VTubers actually play into their characters a lot. Why this didn't happen in the conservative intellectual scene? Freaking heck if I know. Maybe they just forgot. Maybe they VTube so much they forget that they're supposed to be doing an in-character thing, or maybe they've sort of dropped being in character, right? Because the point for them is, well, now I can be in a world where my ideas...
Yeah, the same thing for me. It's a distraction if I try to be too much in character when... Like, if I try and be evil, if an evil person, I should actually support Israel, right? Because if I'm evil, I should support Netanyahu. But, no, yeah, I'm not up for that.
Really win on their own. Because you don't really win on models anymore in VTubing. You buy some big expensive rig, that's not going to get you a lot of views. It's your ideas and your personality.
Tell that to Cinder. She stabbed friends in the back to maintain the best models.
Which is going to get you views.
Yeah.
But what this has essentially done is introduced a female intellectual...
And it does make a difference. If you're going to be staring at a VTuber for hours, having them look decent is better. And that's why I think Kirsch's old model was... You know, just spend a little money and get, you know, halfway decent. Yeah, no, maybe. I think it's her. She's using a better model these days.
Perspective into the generator, which is the internet, of emerging right-wing culture. And it has placed a huge finger on which faction those women happen to be in.
Rather than right wing, I think it was just common sense, middle. And there's two factors. One, there's extreme leftist nonsense, woke stuff has been making it into games, movies, every other type of media, and bombarding people. And so anyone who's just sane and in the middle, like Clownfish TV, you end up being labeled right because the left went way left. And if you didn't follow them there, you're now right wing. And the second thing is media after COVID losing its dominance and just stories coming out that weren't stories before, like Pizzagate. You hear Pizzagate, anyone with half common sense is it's terrible, it's wrong, you don't need to be right wing. But so it's the more the truth making it out and people's reaction to that, and more of the left wing nonsense being exposed to people and having the negative reaction, that's what this new right wing is.
Of the various factions of the right. As we pointed out, there's obviously the right's old guard. There's the Grapers, who are really basically leftists at this point. They never vote, right? But they're notable for a number of things, right? They're typically far more critical of Israel. They're far more likely to be deontologists. They're far more likely to be pro-censorship. They're far more likely to not like nerdy hobbies like anime and video games and stuff like that. And they are a meaningful faction.
Also, having a VTuber avatar is a way to immediately convey that you're a fan of anime. And the type of content you're willing to cover, like if someone has a VTuber model, you're pretty much good bet that they'll play all the games that other VTubers do and cover all the topics other VTubers do, and it's a way to make a statement in that way.
Action of the right, the Griper adjacent, right? This deontologist, anti-Israel, anti-nerd stuff. Like your Matt Walsh would probably an example of a more mainstream one like that, where he crashes out about stuff like anime. And
does he? He doesn't like anime?
Oh yeah, he has multiple crash outs about how anime is like destroying the country and how right?
No. Left-wing woke stuff is destroying our entertainment industry and forcing people towards anime.
It gives me the ick, if I'm gonna be honest.
Which I'm not too opposed to, because I've always been a fan of anime, but there were some Western shows that I used to like, and it's sad that that side of our entertainment is greatly diminished.
Like anime, I don't need to be criticizing other people. He sees it as un-American, and I'm like, Hollywood is un-American. Anime is one of the last places where I can watch a show that's not filled with woke messaging some of the time.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
But the nature of VTubing, this is the type of girl who is open to presenting herself to the world as an anime girl or as a literal furry like Kirsha or something like that, right? Or the other dozen conservative Fox girls. God, I can't remember. There's another one that I quite like, but I can't remember her name. She's the one with she's got a blue bow or something. I don't know. There's your white hair, I want to say. Anyway, these other ones, they are intrinsically...
He might have been thinking about Powder there.
That faction.
But she isn't a Fox girl. I mean, if he's talking about right-wing VTubers, I'm amazed Powder wasn't included. Maybe someone makes a symbol. Oh, look, right there. Shout out to Powder. People noticed.
They are in the Coast Gamergate faction. This is a faction that is used to fighting censorship. It might be like, oh, furries are weird, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to attack somebody for being a furry. And obviously you're not.
Yeah, because furries aren't being inserted everywhere, at least nowhere near the extent that LGBT and other stuff is. Feminism, whatever. I mean, occasionally you get furries thrown to the top of Twitch, front page of Twitch. That has happened several times, but for most part, furries aren't promoted the same way.
If you're
the left realizes that furry is on the degenerate side of the divide. It's not something to celebrate and affirm. We'll really be gone when people start trying to affirm furries. That's hopefully left never gets to that point.
Your presentation to the world is as a fox girl or a slime girl. You're not going to go on a 10-minute...
Yes, it's a cute little baby. It's been there the whole time.
...rant about why everybody who watches anime is bad or why deontological value systems are good. I don't know why these things... Well, actually, this is actually interesting. Why do these things pair so much? Why is it that the deontologists pair so much with the people who are pro-censorship? I think the answer is that
I think censorship only performatively addresses sin, and deontologists care more about the performance.
Censorship in the context right here, I can't tell if it's the one about censorship in games or censorship of, videos on YouTube that YouTube doesn't like, deplatforming stuff. I'm against both, actually. All forms of censorship, pretty much. Only thing I think that should be stripped from the web is snuff and pedophilic, videos involving underage sexual videos involving underage minors.
This actually aligns with their views on things like race as well, whereas we point out that they're trying to sow divisions within the Republican Party over things like race or religion are stupid because we wouldn't be able to build up enough of a base to win elections if we alienate those people. A lot of these people want to be able to put the blame, because they don't want to take responsibility from it as a community to themselves, on some external groups. So they choose some group like Jews. And they're like, Jews are the ones that are spreading all of this. And it's like, it's clearly not the case if you look at just the reality.
No, I have a very specific target that's behind the rot in our system, and it's Treasury's little slush fund that operates out of the Federal Reserve. That's where the rot emanates.
Get the situation. It is mostly white women. It is white, upper class women who are spreading this and who are the...
And honestly, that Karens, there are a lot of them. They are, it's the problem isn't the women, that is the group that's most beholden to mainstream media, apart from like boomers that are really old. If you're going younger people that still believe everything nonsense mainstream media spews, and that ICE is like Nazis, that's because they've been told that by mainstream media and they accept it. My view is it's not the women that are a problem, it's the media. Fix the media and the problem of Karens solves itself.
The ringleaders of this. It is not some external group. It is coming from inside the house.
Yeah. Karens are the media weaponizing its influence and rallying, just radicalizing middle-aged women into becoming the warriors for the establishment.
And they're like, well, if all white people voted like me, then we could build up enough of a base. And it's like, yeah, but the problem is the majority of white people are against our goals. I mean, this is just the reality of it. And yet we can find Hispanic people, over 50% of Hispanic men in the last election voted for Trump. We can find huge chunks of black people. We can find huge chunks of Jewish people. And yes, huge chunks of Indian people who are interested in our goals. And so if you play in this fantasy world where you can get all white people to agree with you, sure, but that's not the world we actually live in. And we live in a world where we actually want to win elections and where we actually want to push back on the...
Yeah, if we wanted to win elections, this Iran war wasn't a very good step for that. That's going to really hurt our cause there. Yeah, it's going to make a lot of woke nonsense retards get into Congress, this Iran war.
Existential threat the urban monoculture plays. And functionally, if you are concerned about declining white populations, which, by the way, isn't actually happening, white people...
I think it's more, if you want the reason why it's more women rather than men that get radicalized and become, go after ICE, for example. I think it's more the role of consensus. Like, women are... that media is that consensus, and so women are a little bit more prone to believing mainstream media than men, is my view. I don't know if that's the best way to phrase it, but the tendency towards needing consensus pushes more women to believe mainstream media.
People have a higher fertility rate than almost any other ethnic group when you control for income.
Also, that's one thing. Also, another big thing is women are one of the advantaged, the risen up. Like, women are good, men bad. If if the mainstream is pushing, which it is, a philosophy of men bad, women good, which it has been for years, guess who is more, let's say, repelled by this? Men, of course. You don't want to be, if you have someone telling you you're bad, you stop listening to them. And you have media telling women they're inherently better, inherently good. And then, it makes it appealing to some people with confidence issues, etc. So those two issues.
And so, like, for example, the United States, they have a much higher fertility rate than the black population. But so the only way in which they're being, quote unquote, outbred is if you go to places like Africa where there's desperate poverty, or some places in the Middle East where there's desperate poverty. But even if you do conceptually care, like you're like, well, even though they have a high fertility rate, I want their fertility rate to be higher. I want there to be a higher proportion of the world's population. The only way to handle that, it doesn't matter where they live, is having kids, right? If we are like Korea and we have virtually no immigration, but we have an extremely low fertility rate, we've done nothing. Like, even if all you care about is increasing the white population, you've literally done nothing. You've done nothing that can have a chance of mattering in the long term. And yet almost all of
I disagree. If you stop immigration, you make the problems of demographic shifts more obvious, and it puts more pressure on societies to encourage people to have babies. I think Japan, because of its strict immigration, has a lot more policies aimed towards increasing the birth rate, as an example. It highlights the problem and causes government to try to solve it.
The leaders of this movement have no children, and they often push their followers to not form relationships because I think they realize that white women are the source of the problem. And so they're like, well, of course you want to have white kids, but you don't want to get in a relationship with a white woman. And so we'll just pretend that we're trying to actually fix things. And if you try to blow up coalitions where you won't even side with somebody like J.D. Vance, who is both Catholic and anti-Iran war, and you're just like, he's the devil, yet he's as close.
Thanks for the follow. Where is my follow bot? Okay, well, thanks for the follow. I don't know who followed me right now for my... Okay, whatever. In any case, thank you.
Close to your position as there could be a mainstream figure just because he's in an interracial relationship or because he's friends with gay people, like friends with Peter Thiel. Well, then you've created a coalition that simply cannot win elections. And this is what we mean by it's a performative coalition, not a coalition that's actually designed to advance the aims they, from a consequentialist perspective, pretend they're trying to advance. Yeah, a comment in a recent video because I was talking about...
Hey, Doris. I think the context around immigration is ignored, though. The context, there's a lot of different contexts depending on which angle you're looking at it. Which context specifically are you talking about? I think that no matter how you look at immigration, it's just too much right now. Take the UK, for example. Yep, there's also who is coming in matters a lot. They're not some people... Immigration from countries that have the same culture and views as you can assimilate very easily and not have problems. Where if it's men from Afghanistan and the likes, it's not as great. It creates problems, different cultural norms. Is that what you mean?
You know, how you need to learn to make yourself immune to the sirens, not hide from the sirens, because they are so ubiquitous in our environment right now, the calls to sin all around us, and not, overly freak out about like this random arousal pattern or that random arousal pattern. And somebody's like, oh, I don't know.
Or do you mean the context in, sorry, I'm just trying to guess, the context of like where people are coming from, like if they're being chased out, like, well, yeah, yes, that is the biggest thing. Yes, we simply do not have enough to support the amounts coming in. Especially, it's insane the amount of welfare that's given to these people that come into these countries illegally. Like, I still think the most insane thing is not all the illegal immigration. It's putting those illegal immigrants into hotels is just insane. It's forcing the poorest people, poorest member citizens of your country to compete with illegal migrants that don't have to pay for their own food or lodging, and therefore are willing to work for rates that no British or UK or US citizens could.
No, there's some really deranged stuff online, and that I think Malcolm's just trying.
We can't send them back where they came from because their own countries don't want them. Yes, but we should send them somewhere else. There are solutions to that. We send them to a third party country if their country doesn't want them. Or we threaten the country that won't take them back and say, we'll sanction you if you don't take your citizens back. We are the United States of America, fucking America. Maybe some countries in Europe might have this problem, but the United States... just take them back or we sanction you and destroy your economy. We do that for plenty of other topics. Why can't we do that? How dare they try to put their worst citizens in the United States and not take them back? Yeah.
Trying to like wipe competitors out of the gene pool. What is it, like a mate blocking or something, right? And it's like, no, like I'm just being consequentialist. The reality is that if you get to an extent where it interferes with your life, tripped up by the online environment of today, which, you know, doesn't even have what your children will be fighting against, which is, you know, fully lifelike, animated in real time, the most beautiful woman they've ever seen, right? That's reacting just to them.
I think we're a long way from that still. And I think when it does come, it'll be expensive as fuck. Because I think AI, its true cost is not being passed on to customers yet. In a lot of cases, it's like the internet bubble when all these internet companies were undercharging their users for their services because it was still in that phase. So I think AI in future, that type of really advanced AI that'll cost a pretty penny.
There's no way your genes are going to make it for 2 or 3 more generations, right? Like I could try my best. Like I understand that there's genetic variance in humanity, and just because I'm not like tempted out of my mind by something doesn't mean that somebody else isn't.
Well, from my perspective, one of the biggest factors that's hurting birth rates right now, I'll say plainly, the conspiracy basically that to prop up the dollar hegemony that's responsible for all this wokeness, this wars, the endless wars and all that. The mainstream media, that's the mainstream media, that's going to collapse. And so that the thing that's radicalizing women into hating men, the thing that's teaching white people to hate themselves, that is all going to collapse. And that'll solve a lot, maybe not all, but a lot of the birth rate problem when that happens. And so I have a more optimistic long-term view.
But there's just no way. There's no way. Obviously, what you can do to resist this stuff is naltrexone, right? Like naltrexone plus the Sinclair method with, like, if you feel overly called to a sin to an extent that it is taking up all your time or destroying your life or leading you down a pathway that is like really messing with you, naltrexone can help with that, right? And it's also got positive side effects too. And you can get it fairly inexpensively from countries like India and stuff like this. So it's like to the scene through this avenue, just to highlight the two that Anna Balin's tried to cancel, Kirsha and Leaflet. Kirsha's content is some of the densest, deepest research that you get on the right. She
goes in, she reads stuff. I should really try to talk to her. Since she does suit my format exactly. I should really try to contact her because she does deep dives. She reads documents. So if I show her the documents worth reading, that would be very interesting. I might try to reach out to her after stream. Kirsha. That is true. She does do deep dives.
I don't know if have you ever watched her content, Simone?
No, not really.
So she does like 2.5 hours where she will take a topic and like try to pull up all of the receipts to try to find like, okay, where does this rope go? Like how deep does she's where I first learned about like Joe Money or something like that. Like what is all the things that John Money did? How did this get covered up? How did this, for people who don't know, this is the guy who invented the concept of gender and transness more broadly in a modern context, who did these horrifying experiments on children. Genuinely horrifying. Watch your episode if you care to learn more about that.
Yeah, her deep dives is in the cultural stuff, the trans stuff and everything. But she does do deep dives, and I think stuff I could show her she'd be interested in.
Like, so she'll dig really deep on something like that, or look for receipts, sort of like a Nick, this young investigative guy, but like a bit before that. I mean, that requires a nerd to be in to do it. Leaflets.
And I will agree with Proton Snail that a country should not be allowed to reject its own citizens. They're citizens of your country. They are your responsibility. That is why I feel I completely support like the United States forcing countries to take their own citizens back. It's their responsibility.
Core thing that I think that she's like most known for is trying to be as genuinely warm, empathetic, and open into whatever topic that she's covering. And that,
if you're talking, if these were rebels or something, well, if these were violent people that were forced out, then they should be in prison in those countries. If they were really problematic people, you have to look at a case by case basis. But in general, countries should be responsible for their own citizens, and illegally in our country, 99% of the cases would support putting them back.
Well, also not taking. She doesn't fall for anything,
No, she doesn't
which I
fall
think is
for
important.
anything either.
Yeah.
She's open without being, what's the word I'm looking, like, foolish about it, right? But it is a female perspective that she takes. You could not emulate Leaflet's perspective, at least within right-wing spaces, as a guy.
So what you're saying is that because basically intellectually mature women have unlocked access to a platform online, they've shifted the Overton window of the right? Is that the gist of your argument?
Well, they're securing a shift in the Overton window of the right that was already happening. So much of the new right came out of, because remember, I part of the pathway that led to it was hating on feminists, is I sometimes call it like the red pill diaspora.
Well, it's not just hating on feminism. Feminism was forced into movies, games, etc., and people hated it. It wasn't like we were hating on the corruption of our media, the corruption of our entertainment. We didn't just go out there and start. I had no problem with whatever feminists were doing before they started making movies gay and lame.
Right, like when the red pill collapsed and Reddit shadow banned it and everything like that, a lot of the influencers from that space, a lot of the pickup artists and stuff like that, they went out there and they became, well, right-wing intellectual influencers.
Yes. I do have the one problem I have with reform is Nicholas Farage recently said that we can't do mass deportations. I'm like, United States doing them, why can't the UK do them? They're supposed to be anti-immigration party. Do a lot of deportations. If they don't put them in hotels. If you have a choice between deporting them and putting them in hotels, deport them.
And that would have pushed, like, there is very little intellectual overlap between anything that Kirsha and Leaflet do with what a pickup artist influencer does, right? Like, these are two, they wouldn't have been in that world at all. They wouldn't have found that interesting. They wouldn't have tried to be a female version of that or tried to be, and yet it's the form.
Yeah, Restore is what I would be voting for if I was in the UK. It is just common sense. I think it's just common sense. You come in here illegal, we send you back. No, not what's all this other nonsense?
Former fans of these pickup artist influencers who are now being influenced by people like Kirsha and Leaflet, which changes the intellectual character of the modern right. And what's really interesting is it does it in a way where you don't see as much of an equivalent on the left. And the left, you have a bunch of female and trans influencers. In terms of male influencers that approach things from a masculine perspective, the only one I can think of is Hassan.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I could see that.
And Hassan's completely disingenuous and
It's funny. I was somewhat hoping, but of course, when there'd be maybe some VTubers that were on the right that were just one level below, like Leaflet and Kirsha in terms of popularity, have much more chance of reaching out and talking with them if they were a bit smaller. But it doesn't. Eventually, I'll find someone that is more my level that I can communicate with.
cruel, you know, like the dog shocking thing and everything like that. So I think that he literally just a thirst trap influencer.
I don't know. I mean, that would be true if the majority of his audience is female, and I haven't ever looked into the composition of his audience.
Oh, it's definitely majority female.
It is?
Yeah.
I guess I would have thought, because I watch
Who Hassan?
audience is female, and I
That he literally just a thirst trap influencer.
yeah, I guess I could see that.
And Hassan's completely disingenuous and cruel, you know, like the dog shocking thing and everything like that. So I think that he literally just a thirst trap influencer.
I don't know.
Oh, Hassan,
I mean,
yeah.
that would be true if
Well, the leftists, anti-ICE, is more likely to be women, and they're likely to be Hassan viewers. It's not that surprising that Hassan viewers are a lot of women.
the majority of his audience is female, and I haven't ever looked into the composition of his audience.
Oh, it's definitely majority female.
It is?
Yeah.
I guess I would have thought, because I watch a ton of left-focused or politically affiliated YouTubers who have 90+% female audiences, if not like 98% female audiences. And
Do you watch any male YouTubers who have 90+% female audiences?
yeah,
'Cause that's
absolutely.
Which one
Absolutely.
are you thinking of?
I mean, a bunch. Philip DeFranco is probably the most well-known one. I watch his news recaps to get an understanding of what the leftist default take to like whatever's happening might be. Yeah, Hassan is different, and I don't personally see how he appeals to female audiences. So if there is anyone who's female and leftist and watching them, not that I imagine them to be here, please explain this.
Well, it might not be that they find him personally attractive, although I'm sure there's that large group. There's rabidly anti-Israel. If you're pro-Palestinian, rabidly anti-Israel, he is the biggest streamer to go to for news. And so I think there's a large group of women that are pro-Palestinians, and so he has a large audience of those women.
This to me, if this is a thing. In the comments.
No, like actually, send us an email because we might miss it if it's in the comments. Like, I'd actually be interested to know why somebody would watch Hassan. Like, I've tried his streams and they're really boring.
Well, I mean, I think for...
Really? I've watched his stream and... the problem with Hassan isn't his entertainment value, it's some of his views and some of his behavior in terms of animal cruelty, etc. But no, his meltdowns are entertaining to watch. It's why Asmongold reacts to so many of them. It is really, if Hassan is really as boring all of that, Asmongold wouldn't be reacting to him all the time.
The same reason why I struggle sometimes with streams of just pearly things. There's a lot of dead space. There's a lot of just mental fatigue experienced by the streamer that you weirdly don't see with Asmongold. Like, he's got a lot of mental endurance to be able to keep even on
Asmongold never seems fatigued. He does have, well, you know where he built that mental endurance was...
No, he seems fatigued sometimes, and he did take a break after his mother died, so he is human.
Like 10-hour WoW raids.
Wow, yeah, that's it.
I think I'm thinking here of like Destiny. Like Destiny, I've listened to some of his content, and he at least appears to be trying to be intellectually serious. Like,
Destiny. Destiny, a little crazy. He's nearly to the point of encouraging people to do physical violence. He thinks the right should be physically fought. At least the last time I checked into with him, thought it was good that someone got shot at a Trump rally. You know, Trump assassination attempt. He was like, "Yay, good that someone in the crowd behind Trump got shot." To me, that's so insane because, you know, there's leftists that go to Trump rallies. You know, the people in the media, most of them are leftists, and they're going there to do their job. And so if someone shot at a Trump rally, it doesn't automatically mean he was a Trump supporter. And automatically celebrating it is just insane. That's one example of problems I have with Destiny.
Hassan doesn't appear to be attempting to tell the truth. He's just...
Yeah, no, one also just Hassan and Hannah Pearl Davis have dead air, whereas I haven't really seen that with Destiny. I haven't really seen that with Nick Fuentes. I haven't really seen that with Asmongold. Maybe in their live streams, you know, because we typically view cut down versions of their content. They show up, but
Hannah Pearl Davis has dead air in her streams, but not on her show. Her show, because her show's like 5 people or whatever, you know, when she does it. But subscriber, by the way, she's a subscriber of ours. So who knows if she's watching this? But you're always welcome to come on the show, by the way. If you ever want to come on, we'd love to have you.
The other issue with Destiny is honestly some of the stuff. I try not to judge someone on their personal life too much or whatever, but something, he has literal porn of himself floating around the internet. He is, his lifestyle in terms of what is really radically like he's in an open relationship with his girlfriend and decadent. He leads a decadent lifestyle in terms of his sexual life.
Lost a way to contact you when you got kicked off of Instagram, so sorry about that. But anyway, what was the final point I wanted to make here, because that is interesting. It's been a fascinating change in the right, and it has really
right or left, people will vote for the context of their country and their climate. I will never trust diehards for either sides. I mostly agree with you. There are some diehards, it's because they've experienced some tragedy. They are that type of diehards where they literally lost like their family in a war or something, and then they become their hardline because of that. It's more understandable, and there's most diehards I don't trust. I kind of on board that, but there's some that you understand why they're hardline. It's possible for a sane person to reach the extreme if life has put them in the right situation.
Consolidated the nerd Gamergate faction.
I'm for it.
It really helps us. Like guys, and you can be like, oh, we don't want all this female energy like in our spaces and stuff like that. We don't want all this nerd energy, right? Like,
well, I guess I agree with you about not completely trusting anyone on the far sides, either sides. More the point I was making is there are some people that are on the far sides that are not bad people per se.
like, okay, first of all, the nerds have the future. Okay. Secondly, women watch this stuff too. You don't want women, right-wing women, to be influenced to be nerdier, right? And finally, to win on elections, we have to win with both men and women, right?
Yeah.
Being able to moderate the right's energy and ideas to not be reflexively anti-woman is something that is going to benefit the right. And I like that, you helped me do that on this stream, right? Like, this is, I don't know how much of our influencers watch.
Problem is, some people think that being anti-feminism or the current version of feminism makes you anti-women. That narrative going along.
Women.
Yeah, I don't know either. I would be curious to know.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Simone, before we wrap it up?
I think it's a great development. I think that, yeah, there are a lot of just visual elements of people that I think unfairly disqualify them from being taken seriously, and that happens more to
because our society in a lot of ways is gearing men to be resentful towards women, just because of just last decade companies like preferential treatment to bonuses to women just because they're women type deal. It's not, social equity creates a lot of intense feelings.
Women than to men, which is, unfortunate, because I think that there are women out there who have interesting things to say. So this is good.
But you had nothing interesting to say? You don't have a single, unique take on this? Come on, you gotta have...
I don't really see what your point is, aside from because women now can be on the internet behind a mask, they are able to move the Overton window of discourse on the right. Like, okay, am I missing something beyond that?
Well, they are able to move the Overton window of discourse on the right to make right a genuine...
No, I have a better way of putting it. Rather than saying they now, because of this mask, are able to move, I think that the mainstream media's decline has created a space, an area where commentators both on the left and the right, and male and female, have gone in to fill it. Like Asmongold and Nux, those are male political commentators now that weren't there 5 years ago. And on the female ones, we have new female ones, like shown in his videos. But he's talking about the rise of these female VTubers, but you have to understand, you eliminate them, and you go back 5 years, yes, they aren't there, but Asmongold, Nuxtaku, Tectone, in some cases, a lot of big voices on the right in terms of politics weren't covering politics 5 years ago. It's more decline in the trust in mainstream media has created space for these big streamers, YouTubers, to influence public opinion. Before COVID, it was mainstream. You had a lot of women on mainstream news programs, reporters, who were filling that role. But with the decline in ratings to all mainstream news, views are shifting towards streamers and YouTubers. Like Shuonhead. Shuonhead isn't a VTuber, and she wasn't covering politics this way 5 years ago. I think. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't remember any videos from her from 5 years ago, and I probably would have seen them.
To gender space, which it really wasn't for a while. That's a huge change.
I disagree. I mean, half the Fox News commentators have always been hot women.
Really, Fox News.
There's a new information space in terms of streamers and YouTubers that's shaping public opinion, and there are now females and males in that space. There are the Nuxtakus and Asmongold's and the Leaflets and the Kershey. Okay, that's the way it is.
Didn't have ideas. Like, Fox News was just parroting whatever corporate talking point they were supposed to be talking about that day. That wasn't actually hearing a woman's perspective.
So are you saying that, because there were people like Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones who would say out there wild things that sparked conversation, and there just weren't female versions of that? There weren't women being like, I'm going to say something crazy.
Your random Alex Jones fan didn't have some woman that, all of them would be like, oh yeah, I also listened to her ideas, right?
Well, Tucker Carlson, that was just... He's more recently became, after he was fired from Fox, became really independent. Before that, he was still at Fox News. Alex Jones is the only one you can really say that was somewhat really big and didn't have a female equivalent for a long time. And I'd say that's just because it was a unique situation. There was only the space for one huge conspiracy content creator for all those years, and Alex Jones was the biggest, and he fulfilled that role. Now there's a lot more space in the counter-narrative, counter-mainstream media space, and so there's a lot more content creators, and some are women, some of them are men.
Whereas if you look at like,
but are they saying really?
Alex Jones isn't so crazy anymore. A lot of things he believes in are going to come true. And I have to ask this. I'm just curious. Doris, how many skyscrapers collapsed on 9/11? It's just me I asked that question to a lot of people just to get. I'm curious at the answer. I'm not a trick question, by the way. Just fact. It's how many skyscrapers collapsed on 9/11? No, that's it's not two. Sadly, it's three. It's 99% of Americans would say two, but no, there's a third one. Yep, there's a third one. Yep. It's World Trade Center 7 collapse. Let's see, a short one. I just want to collapse. This one was not hit by a plane. And the reason mainstream media never ever covers it is because there's no real explanation to why it happened. It's just skyscrapers magically collapse. I think just learning about the fact that it's a third one, yeah, it's going to make you think it completely destroys the official narrative of 9/11. Yep. And so that's one thing that needs to happen. You know how Pizzagate became real, like Asmongold covered it. And this is another... Oh, where's my video? Oh, here it is. This. World Trade Center 7. It's going to, at some point, I think probably in next year, Asmongold, some big content creator are going to go, what? There were 3 skyscrapers on 9/11? They're going to watch this, and it's going to be another Pizzagate moment where Asmongold... I think that's the moment that Asmongold realized that there might actually be a conspiracy. It's right now we're on VTuber topics, but I'll talk about World Trade Center 7 another day. But yeah, there is a deep state. There is a conspiracy.
Out there things that are changing the discourse.
What?
I guess, yeah, they are. I guess.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
No, Kirsha often starts, like, because she does the initial research, she often starts things that then become like a viral thing that everyone's covering.
Right. They're calling attention to new issues. That
she's sort of a top of the pipeline content creator, which trickles down through the rest of the pipeline. So she does specifically.
Twitch isn't the best platform for that dialogue if you ever decide to go down that rabbit hole. Well, perhaps. In any case, I make videos out of all... Like this right here is going to be on YouTube, so it does get to YouTube too, and but I disagree. Like Asmongold covered Pizzagate on Twitch. It's now these topics are starting to be covered on both Twitch and YouTube. It's the Overton window is shifting. Yep, I'm doing it on YouTube too. The content creators I've watched, the small ones that have grown. I used to watch Smug Alana when she only had like 50 viewers. It's YouTube. YouTube is the engine for growth, so I'm aware of that, and I publish videos there every day.
Really significantly influence what's being talked about. But then the second point I'm making is that they also were sort of forced disproportionately into one faction of the right, which changes how they influence them.
BitChute too? Maybe I'll try that. I've tried uploading some videos on Rumble at the same time as YouTube. I could try BitChute too, but I'll look into it.
Right. Because if you're an anime girl, you're not going to crash out about why guys who watch anime are all losers.
Yeah, and the religious deontologists aren't going to watch you, so they're not listening to you. You're not influencing them. You're only influencing a different...
No, they might watch you. Sorry, Simone, you might not know this. Religious people really like anime. There is a specific
thank goodness.
brand of religious deontology. When I went to like my anime clubs in school and stuff like that, there were always a lot of like conservative religious like homeschool kids. Like I don't know what it is about like this thing. And
Good taste, perhaps.
Drop in the comments if you're one of these kids, but that was like a type. The very sheltered, very do good, very like, I don't swear, I don't watch rated R things, but by God, I watch lots of anime.
That sheltered but watch lots of anime? That type. I don't know. I don't know how many that type is. There are homeschooled. Well, with COVID, there are probably a lot more people homeschooled nowadays and watching anime because Western entertainment sucks. There might actually be a lot more of these people than I think.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. It is.
One Piece is great. It's so long. I catch up on the manga every few years or so because it's read 100 chapters and then keep going. I haven't watched the anime, but I think it's essentially the same except for filler around episodes. So the manga is great.
Have fun, Simone. Have a spectacular day, and thank you for your time.
It's near, yeah, I know it was getting towards the end. Like, he's the biggest bads of the world. Like, he took off, what was it, Big Mama, and then he took it off the half-dragon dude. So now, yeah, it's definitely getting towards the end of it. Hopefully he lasts. It's not like a Berserk situation where where the creator dies for the end. So he has to finish it. Not a Game of Thrones. Get us a good ending.
Glorious.
Yes, hopefully.
Although I discovered that I just needed to somehow, like, the permissions had lapsed. So local file saving doesn't need an app on my Mac after all. That actually, I just needed to go back into my settings and make sure that permissions were like
set correctly.
Yeah, but it seems like maybe it forgets sometimes, or maybe when you like the software update, people's general settings just kind of reset. Like that's.
Well, I hate that I'm making the agent feature usable on Macs for coding, but
because you just don't want to empower anyone who chooses Apple as their provider.
Okay, I see now by the chapter title that this is just a tech tangent. So I think this is a good place to end this video. This will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come watch on Kick or Twitch, and I'll see you next video. Bye.